All right, I'd love to invite you to say the blessing for C with me. If you like, you can unmute. We'll say the blessing together, and then we will jump into our discussion. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Which means in Hebrew, blessed is the Eternal, whose mitzvot, whose commandments make us holy, and who commands us to immerse, to engage in words of Torah. I'm really excited to welcome Rabbi Norman Lipson. I'll just read a couple of sentences of bio and then turn it over to him. Rabbi Lipson moved to Miami, Florida in 1955. Following graduation from the University of Miami, he entered the Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion in Cincinnati, Ohio, and was ordained in 1972. He has served on the national staff of the ADL and as spiritual leader of congregations in Mississippi, Texas, Hollywood, Florida, and most recently Temple Dor Dorim in Weston, where he was the founding rabbi and now emeritus. He is an author of 2 books, one called How Many Memories Make a Minion, and the other one called Rabbi, My Dog Ate My Shofar. I'm particularly interested in that one. Rabbi Lipson is married to Shoshi and is the proud grandfather of 4 brilliant grandchildren, and that's how you can tell he wrote the bio himself. I'll turn things over now to Rabbi Lipson. Take it away.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's a pleasure. Jewish geography on steroids. We'll talk about that later. And all of us, we are one mishpacha. Because of that, first of all, I thank you. This is a brilliant idea that you have, Rabbi Schreiber, and I thank you for allowing me to be a teacher in this. I don't know how many people are participating in this, but as a Jewish person, we all have one thing among many things in common, and that is the concept of hope. Hope springs eternal in the Jewish breast. This is something that has kept us alive, the concept of hope, tikvah, along with the concept of mishpacha, begeling, Jewish geography, bonds that keep us together. What we're going to be doing today, hopefully, will be to take a look at, as you can see on my screen, prisoners of hope, because we can't break those chains. And we're going to be dealing with today, in this half hour, on the Hatikvah. So we all know about the Hatikvah. It is something which is from darkness to light. Hope springs eternal and sings eternal in the heart of the people of Israel. Now, I could ask for people to give definitions, and we're going to have a chance for some conversation back and forth and interplay, of course. The definition of hope, which I had to look up just to make sure, it's a desire or a wish that will be fulfilled, some goal, something to be obtained or to be reached. Sometimes hope becomes a reality. One of the contemporary thinkers of the 20th century said, if you want to see miracles, look at the Jewish people. We are walking miracles. And noticing what's going on in the world today, as it has for the last couple of years, etc., this is the emes. And sometimes we forget that truth. We're going to take a look at photographs. Let's take a look at the first one. Here you have the word, for the word tikvah, hope, is from a root letter, 3 letters, kuf, vav, and hey, which means to wait for or hope itself, like tikvah, hatikvah. It's also the same root for the word mikvah, as in the hope of Israel, the mikvah of Israel. Big Sephardic synagogue does not mean that's a big, large mikvah, though it's a gathering of water or a gathering in general, and it can mean for ritual purposes. So here we have that same root, tikvah, coming from kuf, vav, and the letter hey. Now, with that being said, what's the origin of it? For that, we have to go a couple of times in the Bible. The word tikvah, hope, appears 14 times in the Tanakh. The Torah and the Nevi'im, Ketuvim, the Torah, the prophets, and the writings, 14 times. Here you have a verse from the prophet Zechariah, Shuvu Levitzaron Asirei Hatikvah. Now, this is return to the fortress, prisoners of hope, semicolon, part 2 of the verse, Gam Hayom, even today, Magid Mishneh, I will tell to you a second time, or double, depending on how you translate the word, Ashiv Lach, I will restore to you. Now, this refers later on to what becomes the song, the anthem, Hatikvah, but you can see where that word actually appears in Hatikvah in reference with hope. We are prisoners of hope. Now, the question I have is, what are Jewish hopes? If all Jews are prisoners of hope, what would be just some, you don't have to just raise your hand, I don't know your name, or just call right out, actually. What would be some personal hopes for Jewish people? Anybody? Any Jewish people out there? What personal hopes?
Survival.
Survival. Now, you mean that as on a personal level for your family? Sure.
For my family and for the whole Jewish people, yeah.
No, we'll get to the people. We have to start micro. Okay. That's good. Let's start okay. Micro, then we'll work macro. Good. Macro, so let's start small. All beginnings are difficult. So what we're going to do is personal survival. I hope my family, I hope I make it through another day. I hope I get off of I-95 in one piece. I hope I don't have an accident. I hope my kid gets into school. I hope my kid comes back safe from college or from camp. So personal hope. Are those specifically Jewish, or would those be? No, of course not. They're human. They're human. Everyone has hopes. If I would ask for, what about national hopes? People, capital letter P. Now you're talking, whoever said survival, now you're talking Jewish survival. Give me another hope that might be a national hope for the Jewish people.
Land of our.
I'm sorry, in Davar?
A land of our own.
Oh, a land of ours. I'm sorry, we're speaking in Hebrew. A land of ours, sure. Now that's interesting. Now that's being tied into a not just a survival, but a specifically geographic location for survival. What other hope? Another one. Somebody just tossed out another one for a national hope.
I just put in the chat justice both for us and for others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we come to an interesting point in the Jewish survival. And of course, Rabbi Stryfer knows this as well. We're going to be, as Jews, we juggle. We juggle calendars. Example, the holidays are early. The holidays are late. How can they be both? Yes, it depends which calendar you're using. Okay? Now, having said that, the juggling is, if we are only concerned with ourselves, is it good or bad for the Jews? That's all they care about. Is it good or bad for the world itself? Universalistic and very much micro, very much individualistic and but nationalistic for the people. And we're struggling with these two seats on a seesaw. And we struggle. Optimally, everything comes out even. Sometimes certain priorities become more important than general priorities. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a little bit.
If it's only good
for us, yes, question. Yes, ma'am.
If it's only good for us, it can't last.
I don't know what that means.
Well, if we're only out for making things work for ourselves, then it can't last because those around us are not going to let it work.
Well, you're assuming there's a time limit or not a time limit on it. Emeina nili mili. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? I love you, my darling family, as much as I love the rest of the world? I don't think so. V'ahavta l'recha kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself, not more than yourself.
Well, no, what I was getting at is if we are like take for what's happening in Israel right now.
Well, I don't want to get on the sidetrack, but okay, but only temporarily. Okay, I'll let you go on.
Temporarily. That Israel is very aggressive and the world is turning against her. Because Israel right now is fighting for her life. But the world only sees Israel as an aggressor. They don't.
Manishtana. Okay. So
Right.
I recommend a book just to, I don't want to get into that whole thing because otherwise Rabbi Micah will kick me off after 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Right.
I recommend a book, The World Loves Dead Jews.
Yes, I know.
Excellent book. Now let's move on. That's an interesting point, and Rabbi, maybe you'll have a session specifically with this one because that's I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to get off into a tangent on it.
Right.
80% of the questions in the Talmud always remain unanswered, which means we can always pick up the discussion at any time, and that's one of those. So I'll let Micah write that one down for future reference. Now, my next question: when do hopes become prayers? Oh, I hope I win the lottery. Dear God, I hope I win the lottery. That's not a prayer. That's a rhetorical question. When do hopes then become elevated to liturgy? L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, end of Yom Kippur, end of Passover Seder. That theme has been elevated, if you will, to, it's interesting, after a day of fasting and a day of feasting, Passover Seder and Yom Kippur. But yet that prayer is there next year in Jerusalem, whether or not it's flying from my city or not. One of those hopes comes out to be 2,000 years of exile. Now, in Hebrew, the word is galut, golus in Ashkenazi Hebrew, that means exile. In contemporary Hebrew, the word is tfutzot, diaspora. It's lasted for about 18 or 1900 years. Diaspora means I can go back anytime I want. Galut means I can't go back. There's a nuance there which we don't get into. Exile is involuntary. Diaspora is I'm getting the hell out. My wife is her family were able to escape from Hungary in 1956. They are not exiles. They were very happy to be refugees to get out. Now, how does hope differ between someone who is in exile and someone in diaspora? That's now an interesting question too. Hope in exile, I will do anything to get back and I cannot. Diaspora means I hope to be able to go to Israel, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. Where do you want to go for lunch? Where do you want to have mahjong to play for our next game? One's on the back burner, one stays on the front burner. And here is a key thing with reference with Jewish tradition, history, story, whatever. I got a degree in marriage and family therapy a number of years ago. What I remember from that, one of the great quotes I remember is, change does not occur until the pain of the status quo becomes too great to bear. Our families ended up in this country not because they were comfortable where they were living, wherever that was, but because the status quo became too much. Either the czar or political oppression otherwise, or economics, whatever. The point is, we're no longer where they were. We are now here. This ties in with Jewish history when biblical prophecy, biblical statements by the waters of Babylon, there we wept, remembering the songs of Zion, when it becomes a truth that will be acted upon. In essence, abstract hope becomes action. No longer just a hope, but an actual action. Those who decided the status quo was too great to bear and had to make a change left for America, left for South America, left for Australia, left for, I don't know, South Africa, left for this crazy place called Palestine. The Michiganders. They became known as Zionists. Throughout Jewish history, there were those who went back to either live their lives and die in, and this group, the contemporary ones from mid-1800s forward, became Zionists to live and rebuild. Livanot u'lihibanot, to build and to become rebuilt. What they were doing, we're taking this word hope, Hatikvah, putting it into action. In essence, a resurrection of the dry bones of the Jewish people in Galut exile. Our next picture, I would like someone to be able to read. I don't know your names, but I'm looking at a Bruce Black. If you would be so kind, can you see the, make it a little bit bigger for me?
Happy
Good.
to
If you
read.
could read that, sir?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are clean, cut off. Therefore, prophesy and say to them, Thus says the Lord God, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up from your graves. And I shall put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall you know that I, the Lord, have spoken it and performed it, says the Lord.
Beautiful reading. What becomes the Zionist movement are a group of crazy Jews who said, we're taking these words to heart and we are taking them literally. 1878, 19 years before the first Zionist Congress in Switzerland, an individual named Naftali Herz Imber, I-M-B-E-R. He was a Jewish poet from Poland. He wrote a poem called Tikvatenu, Our Hope. It became very popular with the early Zionist kibbutz and industrial laborers, the secular Zionists. A Romanian teenager named Samuel Cohen, who was living in Palestine in Rishon LeZion, fell in love with the poem. In 1882, he set it to the melody of a Romanian farmer's song. The words and the lyrics spread like wildfire through Jewish Palestine and throughout the Jewish world. Da 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 da. Wait a minute, that's Hatikvah. Yeah. Wait a minute, no, that's Smetana. That's the Moldau. Yeah. There are variations of this, and I did some research on this one on YouTube. It's amazing what you get, and I don't want to waste the time on it. Variation peasant songs with this melody. What Cohen did was take two disparate things: the words of Tikvatenu and this melody came up with what we know as the Tikva. Now, the words, and we show you these lyrics. Here we have. I realize it's small. I'm going to make it a little bit larger so you can see what they look like. There we go. Move it over here a little bit. And let's see if, Joni Luxembourg, could you read verses 1 and stanzas 1 and 2 in the English, if you could? You're on mute.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry. I'll make it larger.
Yeah,
My bad.
that's all right.
My bad. How's that? Better?
Yeah, that's good. Okay,
Great.
our hope is not yet lost, the ancient hope to return to the land of our fathers, the city where David encamped. As long as in his heart within, the soul of a Jew still yearns on and onward toward the ends of the east, his eyes still looks towards Zion.
Yeah, now we have a kolot balevav shampanim. You have basic similar words. First stanza was changed a little bit, and it goes on and on and on and on. I mean, it's a poem. We're not going to look through it, and we're certainly not going to sing it. And in fact, it continues on. He has 9 stanzas on the what become Hatikvatenu, his hope. Now, what's interesting, the last stanza, verse 9, if you would read that one, Joni, please.
Hear, O my brothers in the lands of exile, the voice of one of our visionaries, who declares that only with the very last Jew Only there is the end of our hope.
Ah, now what does that mean? Ki rak im acharon haYehudi, only with the last Jew, gam acharit tikvatenu. Our hope will end only when the last Jew dies. Now, we've now moved from something secular, amorphous, into something very spiritual, if you will, not supernatural, because that's just too funky, weird Star Trek stuff. Something that cuts right to the very essence of who we are as Jews. I recommend a book which is tangential, picks apart all this, called The Last of the Just, a very old book written about the legend of the 36 individuals for whom the world survives because of them, the Lamed Vavniks. It came out after the Andre Hertz Bart was the last one, I believe. I think was the name of the author. And it's when the last of the 36 died, the end of the Jewish world. This stanza resonates. Now, I'm going to open up the floor for just a couple of questions or discussion, because I see it's already, the time is fleeting. Tempest does fugit, doesn't it not? Only with the last Jew. How does that, and I don't know where any of you are living, so, and it's really, it's unimportant at the moment to get rid of the stop so I can share it here. I can see a lot of faces here. The last, what if you were, and this is a question, the last Jew alive? Mr. Robinson, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I think I could imagine being the last Jew, and I'm in a place where there are very few Jews.
Where do you live?
San Juan Island, Washington.
Okay.
And if you were the last Jew, it would be certainly brutal and awful, but there's also an obligation there that you need to find hope, and you need to be hopeful, because it's part of who we are.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. Bob Renard?
Yeah, it seems like also the very last Jew, if I were the very last Jew, I would be thinking it's possible that we're all entering back into the garden.
Oh, I hate gardening.
I think that's rather hopeful that all of us will then go back into the garden. Won't be Jews, Christians, Muslims, all of us.
Well, you're assuming that they've melded into society as opposed to being dead, which is also a possibility. 80% of the questions in the Talmud never answered. Rabbi Streifer, yes, sir.
I see Yvonne's hand up, actually. Yvonne, you go first.
Oh, okay. No, I don't have an answer, but being a child of Holocaust survivors, it's just the first time that I think, which I've thought and studied so much about my family's ordeal during the Holocaust. It's the first time that you made me think about what were my parents, my father in Mauthausen thinking when he was seeing the extermination, through the smoke at age 18, 19. Was he thinking this is the end of the Jews, and am I one of the last Jews? So you made me think into my grandparents or father's way of thinking among so many others that may have thought this question. I don't know what answer, because you really needed a lot of hope, and it was hard to.
Yvonne, you just gave me goosebumps, because my late father-in-law was also in Mauthausen.
Really? Hungarian?
From Hungary, yes, Egan.
From Hungary too, my family. Oh my God, we have to talk.
Oh my God, we have to talk. Oh my God, we're at Mauthausen also. Okay, sidebar. This is the Jewish thing.
Oh my God, maybe they knew each other.
We'll talk. Okay, good. Okay, we'll do lunch. We'll talk. Okay, now the Hatikvah now sweeps. I see what time it is. The Hatikvah, this song sweeps throughout Jewish Palestine. Okay, which is nice. It's nice to have a song. Everybody knows a song. For Jews to agree on anything is already something else here. And from 1917 until 1948, Palestine, what it was at that geographic area, was under British mandate. What that meant was that's for a whole course, that it was sometimes good and sometimes not so good. By World War II, from mid-40s, the Jews are fighting for independence. The white paper, Ben-Gurion says, we'll fight the British as if there's no white paper restricting immigration, and we'll fight the British as if there's no white paper. We'll fight the white paper as if there is no. So they struggling between the British supporting Britain and also fighting Hitler at the same time. Hatikvah was not allowed to be sung in public. It was viewed as causing trouble. You could not sound the shofar at the kotel when the British were at the mandate. On Yom Kippur, people would smuggle in a shofar to sound at the end of Ne'ilah services. There's amazing articles written about that. And here we have, whoops, let me make that a little bit smaller here. Let's see, Carol Pevney, if you would be so kind as to read this. This is from, whoops. There we go, British Mandate Radio.
When the British Mandate's radio station opened its transmissions, it broadcasted on December 30th, 1936, live concert of the Eretz Israel/Palestine Philharmonic Orchestra, later on Israel Philharmonic Orchestra, under Arturo Toscanini from the Edison Theater in Jerusalem. The concert ended with the British anthem and the Hatikvah. The technicians were supposed to cut the broadcast short before the playing of the Hatikvah, following the policy of the Mandate government that no national anthem except the British was to be transmitted. But for some reason, they did not. This was the first and last live broadcast performance of Hatikvah on the PBS. From then on, it was banned from the PBS until the end of the British Mandate.
Which is a fascinating, fascinating story to have. What you have here is the following. During the Holocaust, there is an accounting that a survivor of the Sonderkommandos from the concentration camp said that the Hatikvah was sung spontaneously by Czech Jews at the entrance to Auschwitz-Birkenau gas chambers in 1944. While they were singing the Hatikvah, they were being beaten by the SS guards, pushing them into the gas chambers. And they never stopped singing Hatikvah. When one of you commented that if you were the last Jew, the idea of the hope. No matter what, hope remains. And there was a video, I was having a problem with YouTube, so I couldn't bring it up. A Rabbi Leslie Hardman, he was a British chaplain, army chaplain, Orthodox rabbi. He was the first one to enter Bergen-Belsen on April 17th, 1945. And there's a recording of him singing with the Jewish inmates of Bergen-Belsen, the Hatikvah. In conclusion, I wrote, sometimes a hope becomes a reality. On November 10th, 2004, 125 years after its composition, it became officially the national anthem of the State of Israel. Hope fulfilled at last. And before I close, I always have to have another Nechemta, a verse. 1969, I'm a student in Israel at Hebrew Union College, and here's my first joke that I learned. A guy's trying to get a telephone, horrible telephone, you couldn't get one. Company was called Bezek, it's still there. And finally, he storms down to the office on Rehov Hillel in Jerusalem, screaming at the clerk how incompetent, and just a tirade, projectile yelling. And as before he storms out of the office, he yells at the clerk, Ein tikva, there's no hope, and storms out. And the Pakid, the clerk, runs after him and says, Adoni, sir, yesh tikva, there's always hope. Ein efsharut, there's just no possibility. Thank God we as Jews have hope and don't worry about possibilities. I thank you very much.